Hi, this is Kenny Madison, longtime listener to the show, first-time caller, and it wasn't until listening to your solo Star Wars Minute that I realized that Incest Nest is not an organization, it is a person. I have watched the movie at least 3 times all the way through. Didn't realize this until now, so thank you for your service.
Hey there, sexy. Welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily podcast in which we analyze, we scrutinize, and we celebrate Solo, a Star Wars story, 1 minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I am John Mathot, and I have a Star Wars parody Twitter feed called Ordinary Star Wars. That's at Ordinary SW.
All right, John, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, guys. I especially like your pronunciation of program. That's like very like 20s, 30s.
The Uncle
my mid-Atlantic accent.
And restaurant is another one.
Restaurant and robots. But anyway, we're not here to talk about my accent. We're here to talk about minute 101 of Solo, a Star Wars story. Minute 101 starts with Han Solo, the titular Han Solo, raising his eyebrows as he approaches the mysterious empty nest. And it ends a minute later with Empty Nest removing their helmet enough to see a pair of pouty pink lips. A clue as to the identity of the fearsome marauder, but we'll get there.
Yes, my first. Could it be? It's a good way the minute breaks down. We get a reveal that takes a day, so it's a nice
cliffhanger.
We can guess it's probably not Sice Noodles because she does have the lips, but they're
more reddish.
Yeah, and they're kind of close. They're still a little too close to the face to be Sice Noodles.
They probably would have been tucked under the helmet if it was Sice Noodles.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask is, do you think Sice Noodles' nose is like a trunk where it's really flexible, or is it more like a beak where it's like firm and doesn't? You know what I mean?
That's a great question. She seems very reptilian, so therefore, perhaps. But I mean, she'd probably have to, like, if whatever she's wearing, she'd probably have to tuck it into her shirt, which would be really weird. Like, hello, how are you?
It's coming from.
It's great if you want to.
Yeah.
It's great if you want to secretly smoke.
Yeah.
Cigarette underneath.
Why is your shirt filling up with smoke?
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's you.
Oh. You guys are very odd Sice Noodles impressions.
Floppy neck.
Well, if she's smoking, obviously she's going to have that, like.
Oh, yeah.
And muffled, there's smoke. There's all kinds of things at play.
I hope I'd like to see a Sice Noodles almost like when she's older and like her voice doesn't quite have the, what she lacks. She can't hit the high notes anymore, but now she has more gravitas in her voice from a lifetime of hard drinking in saloons and whatnot. So.
Yep, and death sticks.
Yeah.
Maybe she'd have to get another, like another beak in her throat to speak.
With lips, like big.
Right. Also with lips.
Is that thing a droid, do you think?
A small droid? Sure.
Yeah, does it count as being a droid?
Yeah. It's funny. There's one of the notes I wrote for this is like, we get Solo's kind of big. This is like one of his times where he really tries to put on that Solo charm, which we see, in later films. But as I wrote here, I put WWAID. That is, what would Anthony Ingrebert do? The other guy who was up for the Solo role. Perhaps that's cruel, but I don't know. But
not even Harrison Ford. Not even Harrison Ford, the other guy who didn't get the part. So he's in a no situation.
To get the part, but I don't know.
We had talked about who's the other guy? The guy that's
Ansel Elgort.
Yeah, right. We talked about him.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of. The internet gave me the wrong name then. The guy who was in Age of Adaline.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's the one where it's about the I keep forgetting her name, married to Ryan Reynolds. She plays like a time traveler that is had a romance when she doesn't age, had a romance with Harrison Ford. She meets him as current Harrison Ford, but then we flash back, and the guy that they got for that is stunningly, amazingly young Harrison Ford. And I don't know what happened, why they did not cast him.
Harrison Ford was in a time travel movie? How have I not heard about this?
Age of Adeline.
Adeline.
So that is Anthony Ingruber.
Okay.
And when you Google image search Anthony Ingruber, like half the things that show up are Harrison Ford and Han Solo, Indiana Jones, etc.
Yep.
And that's interesting because that also, we talked about when I was watching the new West Side Story, I was like, wow, this guy looks like the action figure of Han Solo. Like, he doesn't quite look like Harrison Ford, but he looks like the Han Solo, like the early,
big head or small head.
I want to say small head because it's
the superior one.
It doesn't look he doesn't look too out of scale. But
the big head always looked like Lady Elaine from
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Mr. Rogers.
Whether she sounded like that, I don't know. Yeah, that's the one on your shirt, your original 12-back shirt right now, Alex.
Oh yeah, I should.
Yeah, right.
Small head with small head look, small head on. But anyway, you're saying, Pete.
Anyway, so that and I know that there was some, like, we had theorized maybe, they whoever called him up, they're like, all right, get me Ansel Elgort, and they're like, great. Here we go. And then the next day, they're like, that's not Ansel Elgort, that's Alden Ehrenreich. And just
oops.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a difference.
Well, there's nothing we can do about it now.
I love that this other guy also fits. They're like, no, I said Anthony Ingruber. Like, it's like, no matter what, it's just like, can we move away from a name, vowel
That's
name?
probably how it happened. I mean, it was, maybe someone was going through a tunnel or a really bad, we want it. Okay, cool. We'll call him right away.
Do you think when they started the casting process, they just opened up the big book of all the actors and just started at A, and then they're like, we got through Alden. That's
It's
good
going to
enough.
take forever.
They're like, Alden, Ansel, Anthony. Good. All right, just bring those guys in.
Too bad,
Or
Xavier Einhart.
Yeah.
The autocorrect said, "Did you mean Alden Ehrenreich?" Like,
Yes.
well,
But
one thing I will give the film credit for, and Alden Ehrenreich here, I really love this joke about Han Solo bluffing his way through there being 30 hired guns on the ship, and then it immediately takes off. That's a great gag.
That is a good gag. And my note on that was they can fit. She has a look, Empty Nest has a look to the Falcon, and like, actually they all look, I think. And you're like, they can fit 30 people in there?
Well, and also, like, how would they surround the Empty Nest gang? Like,
Take forever.
They would have to come out
Outriders,
and, like,
please.
they're already surrounded inside the Falcon. Like, how they're all going to get out and then somehow manage to surround them? Come on.
Yeah.
Right.
It's ridiculous. But a great gag.
Poor plan, but good gag.
It is a good gag.
Yeah.
And I also love that they all can sit there and slowly watch it kind of take off. Like, it's rare that you see the Millennium Falcon taking off and nobody's chasing it or angry that it's leaving or anything like that. It's just
True.
it's all just like this is like the least anybody has ever cared about the Millennium Falcon taking off.
They get to fly casual for once.
Yeah.
He gets to fly casual.
That was truly casual. Although he was angry flying away. I'm sure Lando was quite angry.
Yeah.
Well, and scared. He's got a lot of emotion that's going on.
Yeah.
Well, so on a related matter, Lando just said goodbye to Han. Like, clearly he wasn't mad. He hated him. In fact, he declared his hatred for him. And then he's like, "I'm going to go back on my ship and wait for the payment, and then I'm getting out of here." Like, and then is he giving up on his payment at this point, or did he make a separate deal with Dryden Voss to do like a direct deposit kind of thing, where he doesn't have to actually be on hand to? That's
a DDD, a Dryden direct deposit.
Right. No, I'm assuming he just looked out the window and saw that they were getting accosted by the Empty Nest gang. But what was her name? Something on the Cloud Riders. What does her name translate into? It sounds like an 80s children's cartoon.
Cloud Riders is definitely the band.
They're called the Cloud Riders, but her name translates into Pure Rainbow. There you go. Pure Rainbow and the Cloud Riders.
Pure Rainbow.
Pure Rainbow and the Cloud Riders.
As opposed to all those other tawdry, sullied rainbows.
Stained rainbow, yeah.
It's funny, but most
Stained
rainbows that
Rainbow.
you get,
That's a
Stained
good name.
Rainbow. That sounds like a '90s alt rock band.
Stain Bro.
Yeah.
That's getting worse. That went around the wrong way.
REIGNBAUBEAU.
Rainbow. Yeah, that's an English one.
A friend of Adam's and friend of other people, somebody who I am acquainted with, who's more friends. Adam knows everybody, but he would do. Was participating in a wrestling. I think it was like a comedy wrestling thing. I think at UCB, and one of his characters was Roy G. Biv, the rainbow that brings the pain, bro. That's a good line.
Wow,
that's
set up.
Good.
Yeah. Give that man a contract.
Mm-hmm. My next note was about a snap. Other than we see Han snapping when he's talking about all I do is give the word, and he snaps and like they'll come out. And Rey had a famous snap in the seaweed hole in The Last Jedi. What have we had other snaps? Can you think of anybody else snapping in Star Wars?
It's funny to imagine other times. But
there's a lot of pointing.
Yeah, a lot of jabbing and pointing.
Yeah, a lot of jabbing, covering of mouths.
Does anybody snap?
I can't think of a snap. Unless you want to do that cut scene where they all kind of did like, speaking of West Side Story again.
That's where the Jawas came out.
Yeah.
Or where General Dodano's like, striker.
How will you remember that? Remember to get the Death Star.
And the scene where Luke is doing his poetry back in the Anchorhead,
right?
And they all applaud at the end. Can't think of too many other snaps. Is it in the Wikipedia?
I don't.
How could we forget Snaps Wexley?
Snap Wexley. Of course.
Yes.
The most famous
who
snap.
Ironically could not snap. Never learned.
That's why they called him that. It was kind of like a mocking,
cruel.
Yeah, snap.
Like naming a tall guy, a short guy, stretch or tiny or any of those kind of things. The only way that the gag about the Falcon taking off could have been improved is if they cut to like Chewbacca like putting his hands over his eyes or something like a still image of Chewbacca with like stop motion hands going over his eyes like in an old like our gang comedy or something.
Like
that. Yeah, exactly.
Like taking the film and reversing it. Or
like
yeah.
Well, I can't. What's a glove without fingers? Why can't I remember this common word right now? Mitten.
Glove without fingers.
Glove without fingers. Wow. Like,
oh wow.
I thought you meant like an 80s like Madonna fingerless glove.
Sure.
Chewbacca like has the fingerless gloves and he takes out his switchblade comb and slicks his hair back. It's like that's cool.
There was a bit in New Hope where they took the film and reversed it when the Tusken Raider, and somehow it worked. Little Rascal style.
They're literally a backward people.
I was thinking about two furry mittens on poles that people would bring in from the side to make it.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say, but I couldn't remember the word mitten, so now.
Like cat memes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 Wampa arms.
I'm looking through, but I don't see. There's lots of use of the word snap as like a sound effect in the script from the original Star Wars, but no.
Necks are snapped. There's a neck that's snapped.
Yeah.
Captain Antilles. Yeah.
Oh, Han Solo steps on a twig in Endor.
Oh yeah, that's
another snap. There we go. We're expanding our definition of snap.
Yeah.
Right.
There's that scene where Palpatine goes and all the Twi'leks come over to him and he's like, "Hey," with his arm around each Twi'lek.
Check me out.
Yeah, it's all just sound effect snaps. I don't see any. I'm just going to go through the original trilogy right now. It is tempting to look at the Phantom Menace, though. It's always tempting to look at the Phantom Menace.
Said a lot of people.
The troops snap to it. This is Return of the Jedi. Now I'm in. The door snaps shut. Tentacle snaps back.
I like the idea of the troops snapped to attention. They're like
Han snaps back to life. I don't remember that happening in Return of the Jedi.
Snap away from a nap.
Do we, on a related manner, do we see a lot of clapping and stuff? I mean, I guess Lando is probably the most famous clapper in Star Wars at the end of Return of the Jedi when he's grooving to the Ewok
to the
band.
beat, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The troops all clap at the end of New Hope.
Yeah, I guess they do.
Yeah, applause.
Yeah.
I still get a kick out of hearing, I'm sure you've heard the story that a lot of those extras were just really, really hated being there because they didn't know what it was. They're just being like, we have to stand there. And I guess supposedly I'd heard this, I don't know if it's true, but as the main actors were walking down that thing, some of those extras would just kind of whisper, insults to them as they walk by, calling them wankers and whatnot.
Oh,
Wow.
I really want that to. I'm going to include that in my headcanon for what actually happened, because it makes sense. Because Luke is this hillbilly who comes out of nowhere. Han Solo is literally like a scoundrel who just comes in. Next thing you know, these guys are medals.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Almost all of them have got medals.
Wow.
If they'd given it to the dog, the troops would have rioted. That's probably why Chewbacca.
Where's more medal?
Yeah.
I don't know why they're suddenly like Cockney.
Why not?
Boy.
I do love that idea though of the next two up the chart. These guys have been working their way up, and they're like, all right, well, next two openings that we have in the in the X-wing pilot system, go to you.
They're in.
And then and Luke comes in, and he's just like, I can drive a ship, and they're like, all right, well, this guy's gonna take that one, so you can. And then
I've been dumping fuel in Y-wings for months, waiting for my turn.
Oh yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe it was Shane Rimmer or whichever one of the guys or the engineers there fueling up the ship. It's like, this is supposed to be my ship.
Don't worry, baby. Someday. But then that ended up being a good thing because most of them got blown up.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I'm glad it wasn't me. Big guy can suck it.
Not anymore.
One last detail before we move on to the Memphis Nest part where they're negotiating, or I guess it occurred to me today that, do you think in that scene where Han Solo said that my dad used to build YT transports back on Corellia, do you think we're eventually going to learn that Han Solo's father built the Millennium Falcon?
Oh boy.
Do you think they were setting that up for like a thing?
I remember catching on that while I was seeing it for the first time. Like, all right. I mean, is it just like a cute detail of the legacy, his connection to the ship? Or, it would be kind of fun if they took a panel off and saw like, Chuck Solo was here, although his name wasn't whatever his name was.
Oven.
Is that the name of the episode?
I think maybe when Lando,
I think so.
When Lando was like putting in the smuggling compartments, they found like the skeleton of Han Solo's father like in the walls of the.
I forgot to come back from lunch.
Or he's just still alive. He's in there. He's just. They find him. He's like, what?
I have a son.
That's who Claude was in Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, Claude was Mr. Solo.
Yeah. Is there a Mr. Solo?
Another thing I wrote here was when Tekket tells him like all the Marauders know how to do is kill. Like, that's just cruel. He doesn't even know them.
Yeah, he's
granted they took out his lady, but
Yeah, that's true. He's got a grudge there. Which I was thinking about Marauders. Alex, did you have something before we get to the Marauders and the Cloud Riders? Pure Rainbow and the Cloud Riders? No? Okay.
Proceed. Tread carefully, Counselor.
Well, I'll have a question to follow up with this, but I was like, he's like, they're just Marauders. And I was like, are they technically, what is a Marauder? And so I had to look it up. What's a Marauder?
Webster's Dictionary defines Marauder as.
Well, it comes from the Middle French maraude, meaning rascal. So different vibe altogether. You're like, they're just rascals. That makes it sound
not robbing and killing people or anything.
Yeah, those rascals.
You knucklehead.
Or again, the little rascals.
Covering his eyes.
I want to build that now. I want that to be a thing. You can sell that in the store. You can sell that in the Star Wars Minute store.
StarWarsMinute.com/merch.
There you go.
There we go.
But yeah, it's funny how it's taken on the main thing that separates, Marauders from other groups of thieves or criminals is that they're not like, they don't have a pre-planned target. Usually, they're just kind of roaming, looking for stuff. They're like,
now was that was the main definition? Was there a secondary definition, or was there more to it? Or
I should have looked it up on Urban Dictionary. Let me see. Urban chipmunk? No. Urban
Dictionary. People who take vape juice and dump it in their ear.
Let's see. Marauder.
And then there's Maraud.
4 sexy dead gay wizards from the 70s. That's the. There you go.
I see that.
Marauder.
Sexy gay dead wizards.
Dead, sexy, dead gay wizards. They're not dead sexy. They're dead and sexy. They're sexy and dead.
Do you think they mean dead, and do you think they mean dead as in deceased, or do you think they mean dead gay, like very gay?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, because is that chronological? Those attributes.
I think I saw the Marauders open for the Pure Rainbow, and the Cloud Riders.
Yeah. Good show. Although they were the 9 o'clock band, no one's there.
Yeah,
the US Festival.
US Festival. So my follow-up question, speaking of Pure Rainbow and the Cloud Riders, was the who told them they were tracking the Falcon? That was the
who told them
when they left originally. Who told them to find the Tobias Teckett and his gang here? They put the tracker on the Falcon. When it left impound, did they track them this whole way? Did they go were they hanging out outside of Kessel waiting for them? Well, we'll let them do this part. Remember, we saw them take off, and they were like, "Did you put the tracker on it?" I'm like, "Yep, we did it," and that was an hour ago. Did
they just take a little break? I mean, okay, well, we got time for a movie, and by the time they get to that other planet,
because they can't, hyperspace tracking is not invented yet, so they watched them take off, and then they kind of had an idea of where they might go. I don't know what they don't know what the plan is. They don't know how. Did they have somebody just once they showed up, maybe the air traffic controller was just like, "Hey, you know that thing that you were doing?"
Well, guy doesn't have a tongue.
No, he's the one who got one. Right? No, that came up last week, but I think that was the story. That's not these people, are they?
That is these people.
I don't know. Are we sure? Oh, it is. You've read it in the book.
That's
because they tell that story. She tells that story this week, but it doesn't seem to necessarily be about the people surrounding her, right? Oh no, it does, because the one she can't talk and she just draws it on the thing.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
Interesting.
Let me not be aware of the stuff that we're actively talking about.
I have a question about the Marauders. Do you think
that they really they were the X-Men's villains? I'm trying to think of what they're not the greatest. They're the best, second best X-Men villain team that you can think of. Obviously, anyway, let's
Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Brotherhood of Evil. Yeah.
Brotherhood of Evil Mutants is going to be number one, but who else? The Reavers. What? Morlocks. Morlocks don't really count. They were just misunderstood. Anyway.
Yeah, team wise, I was always partial to Arcade. He was very cheesy villain, both a Spider-Man and X-Men villain, but he was awesome.
Yeah. That's true.
So my question is, are all of the Marauders, does one person design all their outfits, or because you kind of get the impression that this is supposed to be kind of a thrown together thing, but their outfits do all have a kind of aesthetic unity to them that makes me think that it's there's an armorer in Mandalorian, where there's somebody who's in charge of making Marauder mail.
Yeah, perhaps because they, not to skip ahead, but I know that they came from all these they're all different races, and they come from all planets, all perhaps different disciplines and crafts, and
from land down under.
Yeah, because her helmet is fantastic, and then other people's helmets, not so much.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
Do you think it's is it kind of like George Lucas they designed 30 helmets, and he's like, that one will be empty nesters, and that one will be
yes, maybe, no.
Yeah.
Thanks, Doug.
I do love that it makes me like him more, knowing that's how we got Admiral Akbar. He just walked through, they were making creatures for the for Jabba's palace, basically. And he's like, oh, that one's going to be a general. And they're like, what? Okay. And then,
I hadn't heard that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Like
But apparently they just, were going through the creatures that were going to be in, because they were picturing like, oh, we got a big scene with it's going to be like the cantina scene. And they were just doing stuff. And he just like randomly walked through, and that's that creative spark that he's got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's true in universe as well. I think that's how Admiral Akbar got the job.
Yeah.
Someone was just walking through like, you, up on the bridge.
Hey, Luke Skywalkered him up to his position.
Baron Papanoida was just like, you are now a general. I dub thee Admiral Akbar. I'm like, what?
After the success of Luke Skywalker blowing up the Death Star, the rebellion completely gave up on merit-based jobs.
Right,
yeah, that was it. Like,
randomly assigning people.
Woo, that one really worked out for us.
They're like the record industry. They just went out and assigned a bunch of farmers for the rebellion. They're like, I don't know. That's what's going on right now.
This guy Snap's got a really great name. Let's promote him.
Yeah.
I like Kira's little bit about because Bobias says, hey, if you kill us, we'll kill you and all that stuff, and then she's like, well, maybe we do something that doesn't involve so much killing. Right. I thought she had a good delivery of that line. It was it wasn't like I'm big acting about a joke line. It was just kind of like said kind of like almost under her breath, like very dryly said.
Right. Concerned.
Admirable restraint.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that can be done poorly sometimes.
Yeah,
that can be like the simplest line can be overdone, and subtlety was key. She knew that the director knew that wasn't the point. I mean, it's the tag, but it wasn't. Didn't have to be over the top.
I not to pile on, but just imagine that same line done by, let's say, a Jar Jar Binks. Different, changes the whole scene.
Yeah, or Nick Nolte or something like that.
Oh, Nick Nolte.
First time, it's over.
Or about Christian Slater. How about that? Let's just imagine this scene throughout.
I wish my Christian Slater impersonation was better.
I said that, and then I was like, and then I'll do a Christian Slater.
Now we got to deliver.
No.
Yeah,
was that just like a Jack Nicholson impression?
Kind of, yeah, right.
Wasn't that what he was kind of famous for? I'm a poor man's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm going to be in a show called Mr. Robot. There's a robot over there.
Anything else for minute number 101?
That's all I got.
That was it.
All right. I guess that'll do it then. I thought I had something else to say about the Falcon, but you know what? I don't remember it. I'm sure it'll come up the rest of the week. Stay tuned. Maybe I'll remember it sometime
all right.
this week.
Welcome back to our memory palace that is Star Wars Minute.
In the meanwhile, the Kenobi show is over. And so, but if you missed it, you could still go back on our Patreon and hear what we thought of it. We did 5 episodes about the whole 6 episode run. The first episode was 1 and 2 because that's the way they aired. You probably don't remember that. It was a long time ago now.
We did it in double.
But if you go to StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon, join at any level of support, and you can hear those episodes there.
And now we're making a chain to get from and we went back and we finally did the last James Bond movie for That's No Moonraker, and now we're making a chain to get by the end of the summer we will get to the Cassian Andor show.
So we're forming a pop culture junk
steps.
Chain.
Pop culture junk chain, did you say?
Junk chain. From No Time to Die to somehow connect with the Cassian Andor show. Will we be able to do it? Stay tuned and find out. Go to StarWarsMinute.com/Patreon, and we'll see you tomorrow for a regular Star Wars Minute.
Star Wars Minute.